Do you have great art on your portfolio, but still something is going wrong regarding getting hired or not being seen? Or maybe you just realize your portfolio is just not there yet? That's what I want to talk about in this video, specifically branding and why you should be aware of what it is. My name is Robert, and I've been a 3D artist for 22 years already. The last 8, I've been running Mesh Masters, where we've been handling client projects together as a small team. And recently this year, we've been expanding into helping our fellow artists like you also get to a good spot in the industry and get in the position that you want and dream. Now back to the subject. So branding. And what do I mean with branding, and why is that important for a 3D artist? Of course, everybody knows that a brand, often people think of a big brand, good products, brands, companies out there. But what is actually a brand? A brand is a mark or an impression that somebody has when they interact with the said subject. That could be a product, it could be a company, but it could also be you and your portfolio. So what does that mean for you? And what I'm trying to say here for you is that mark, that impression that somebody leaves or that you leave onto somebody with your work and portfolio. In my opinion, as a 3D artist, you're an artist, and so you need to build that, be aware of that, work with it, improve it. Now, what does that mean, of course, in the practical sense? So what I've seen go wrong over and over and over after reviewing hundreds, maybe thousands portfolios over the last 20 years, especially the last 8, is people don't really seem to be aware of that. Of course, you have like really established artists out there, and their portfolio is great they have amazing work, amazing projects, amazing experiences, and client work or studio work they did. And in essence, that is the portfolio. But most artists I come across that are not yet at that veteran level, they forget about the overall impression that their portfolio leaves. They simply make a model, maybe it's like their own training model or a fan model, but it could also be client work, and then they make cool images of it, and then they dump it as a separate piece on their portfolio. And they don't realize that the portfolio in itself, especially the grid page, like the front page, that also leaves an impression. So what I'm trying to convey to you is that impression, you need to build that. So what does that mean again from a practical standpoint? How can you work on that? How can you improve on that? Well, there are a couple of things, right? You have your thumbnails. You have your portfolio piece pages and the way people go through that. You have your brand style. So do you have a name type or a logo? Do you have certain colors? Maybe the way that you build the thumbnails, the way you position it, and the composition and the design elements you add to that, maybe that's very consistent over all these thumbnails. Or the way that you present your work. So how do you present your models? How do you render them? How do you take images? How do you do lighting and shadows and, make sure they feel grounded or the way that fits you? So I really hope that you start thinking in a way where you need to build and tweak that. So this is a topic that we talk a lot about in the bootcamp itself, and there's also a product coming along the way, really about this entire subject. But what I want you to do for now, if you're not there yet, is to start seeing your portfolio as a brand. And you need to tweak everything so your brand, who you are, comes out professionally. Which brings me to the next subject. What exactly are you trying to achieve with that brand or impression? So most people, or in my experience with Mesh Masters, if I need to hire artists, of course I'm looking at how well are their 3D skills. But for me, after the years, I have shifted more in the direction of that I consider a professional, trustworthy, somebody who's a good team player, somebody who can communicate. I consider that way more valuable than their 3D and artistic skills. And the reason is that I have hired really good artistic people, but it was such a chaotic mess to work with them that, like I said, I rather have the other side. And while asking around with the people I know in my network, in general, I see most people really prefer that other side, that professional side. And this, in my opinion, is what needs to be conveyed in your brand and portfolio. So how do you do that again? A consistent look around your work. Good professional thumbnails. The portfolio pieces itself have a journey that people go through. So the first image should probably be your key art image of your model, character, whatever it is. And then maybe a turntable, maybe another cool image, followed by the breakdowns and the process. And especially the process is really important. So people see how you create the art, but not only the technical how to model, but the design, the thinking, the artistic side. And then, of course, don't just dump random images on there. Design it, make the images look good, make that story or that journey that you have in your portfolio piece page, design that well, and then again, apply that to all your work so it's very consistent. So if you do that with everything, can't you then imagine that if people would come across your work, that one, they would see your 3D skills, obviously, but that you would come across way more professional and way more trustworthy, and people will get that feeling, that impression of, whoa, he seems like a professional. And wouldn't that up your chances to get a freelance client or get hired? So like I said, be aware you are a brand, your portfolio is a brand. Think about that, design it, and build it. Like I said, we are expanding our training environment to include more and more in this domain. The bootcamp is the first major piece that we are running right now, where we do small classes or sometimes one-on-one to really have people jump from where they currently are into that professional space with these type of topics like the brand and the portfolio, but also what does it mean to be a professional. So if you're interested, take a look at meshmasters.com or reach out to me on LinkedIn. And like I said, more products and training environments and tools are on the way, but we just need a little bit more time to build it and flesh it out. This is Robert signing out. Catch you next time.